For many years now, Nigeria has been battling various forms of security challenges, from insurgency to violent crimes, all of which have kept the nation's security forces consistently engaged towards addressing these challenges. Security experts are quick to observe that the Nigerian military is currently overstretched from its involvement in internal security operations. To complement the efforts of the regular forces, there is renewed clamor in security circles for ex-service personnel and veterans to be engaged or recalled to assist in counter-terrorism operations, as well as community policing. How can the nation harness the skills and experiences of the ex-service personnel? We shall be providing a range of perspectives in this episode of 30 Minutes. I am Mitaire Ikpen. Security experts agree that Nigeria has a large reservoir of ex-service personnel across the security forces who are grossly underutilized. Now, what role can they play in boosting internal security in line with global best practices? Let's find out in our first report. The competence and combat readiness of Nigeria's military personnel cannot be bought off the shelves. Years of training and retraining come at great cost to the nation, equipping them with professionalism and patriotism that command respect and admiration within and outside the country. There is, however, growing concern that when these ones retire from active service, their resourcefulness and competence are no longer utilized or harnessed to boost internal security, resulting to many of them wasting away. This is not the case in other climes. In the United States, veterans are co-opted into the Army Reserve Force and deployed for security operations from time to time. In the United Kingdom, reservists who have left the army are recalled in times of need or security emergency to join operations with the regular soldiers. In Israel, reserve service is mandatory for retired military personnel and considered part of national life. Many believe that harnessing the potentials of ex-service personnel in Nigeria will help boost counter-insurgency operations. Major General Garba Ayodeji Wahab, retired, is the Director General of the Nigerian Army Resource Center, established in 2015 to help bridge operational capacity gaps towards addressing national defense and security issues. He says despite the quality of Nigerian military personnel, the country cannot yet boast of a reserve army.
We don't have a reserve army. We don't have a reserve in Nigeria. We've not activated. It is provided for in the National Defense Policy. It is there in the security strategy. Everybody provides for it, but it's not being activated. It's not free because you must keep them. You must train them. Who is going to provide? When even those who are serving have not been provided for, the requirement has not been met. When they provide for a particular amount of money or funding for the military, people shout, "Why did you give them this? Is there any war?" Even today, when they are involved in internal security. If I take you back history, 2014, the government had to go to South Africa looking for arms for the military to conduct their operation. People were still complaining, "Oh, we are setting aside 1 billion for the military to get their equipment. Why do they need it? What do they need it for?" Security is a very costly venture. So if you want to start a reserve force, it's going to be costly. You have to determine what is the percentage of this guy you are going to take. It's not everybody. You have to look at the age, you look at the health, you look at the spread. A lot of issues comes in. It's not just don't wake up and say, "We are starting the reserve force." It is planned for.
Former Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase cannot agree less. He notes that ex-service personnel can contribute a great deal to internal security operations and management if properly engaged.
We've had about 4 police reforms, and most of them, they said, the capability and capacity of policing in the country is very, very low. So since you have wastages, when I mean wastages, human manpower wastages on a yearly basis, people retire, people die, and you continue to try to replace them. The knowledge that have gone into, that is what you're talking about now, the reservists, those knowledge that have gone out of the system, you can still annex them, and bring them into the system. So when we're setting up the police academy in Kano, one of the issues that came up, the retired police officer, they said, can we compile a list of officers who we know have distinguished themselves while they were in service, to now, put them on a roster so that they can go to the police academy to go and teach, the students who are just coming up. You can imagine when somebody who retired as a commissioner of police, or an AIG, or a DIG, or an IG, stands before a class of young, impressionable students at the academy to talk to them. One, they are benefiting from his experiential knowledge. Secondly, they are benefiting from his intellectual know-how. So win-win situation for the system.
There are calls for the right policy framework to be in place to give legal, operational, and structural backing to the engagement of the nation's ex-service personnel.
The implementation guidelines will provide the funding, what's the force, what's the structure, what's the nature, those things will be there. And the relationship between those who are forming the reserve force and those who are still serving. Because if you don't demarcate the responsibilities, there will be friction. Whether you like it or not, there will be friction. But utilizing the veterans will go a long way in assisting, not because I'm one, but because you spend so much money. You can't be paying people huge sums of money. And now there's debarment. Once you pay debarment allowance to anybody, that person have been paid off for life.
Officers who are below 65 years, who are veterans now, and I believe still useful, they are more than 50,000. So if this can be checked, and in all of us, they have vast knowledge of a lot of experiences. It's just for us to look back and get them involved. But train them away is train a whole gap of experience out of, which is not good. We need to bring them and blend them with what we have now. Let's allow the young ones be very active in the most active, strong part, and let the thinkers, the veterans who have all these experiences, come to still think. We can tinker for them. Let them pass problems to us, and we'll tinker it and work it out together. They are not being used.
The renewed clamor for Nigeria to engage its veterans is largely driven by the military's long-drawn battle against insurgency and pockets of internal security challenges which tend to overstretch the armed forces. It is also argued that when the skills and experiences of veterans are not harnessed by the state, they could be utilized by non-state actors.
Whether you like it or not, everybody cannot be focused or law-abiding. You will have one or two who might not be, and they provide the brain, the strategy, and the focus for the bad guys. And so, meaning that you spent money on somebody to be used, you've left that person unused, somebody else, because there's no vacuum in this world. Something will occupy the space. If you don't occupy it positively, somebody will occupy that space negatively. And that's the challenge we have with our borders, with our forests, because we are not using them positively. So if you don't utilize those who've trained in the management of violence, then somebody else will use them. Foreigners will come around, tap their brain, and use that for their own interest against our own national interest.
They still have a lot to offer to us. That is why it's good we should make use of them, and they will be of help. But if we can't use them positively, I want to assure you, the other group will use them negatively. So it's better we bring them on board, engage them, and then keep them busy.
If you are able to put these officers together, you will see that this one is very, very good in operations. This one is good in intelligence. This one is good in investigation. What is it going to cost you if you pull them together and say, come and start impacting, those new ones who are coming? The military has done, they've done well. The Army Resource Center here, most of the faculty here is made up of retired Army officers. So that is a way of them bringing back. The DG there is a retired general. Most of the faculties, you see that they are retired generals. And the DSS school in Boari is also encouraging people. So I think that is the way we should go.
The directing staff for the leadership and strategic studies course are major generals retired who have the experience. And we want them to pass this experience to the young ones. And so most of the DS for that particular course are retired major generals, because we believe that the experience they've garnered must not be allowed to just fizzle away. And then they serve as mentors to the colonels. You can ask them questions, you are free. They are not in the mainstream. The man is not looking for promotion, he's not looking for posting, he's retired. So you can ask him anything, and he will bring they bring their experiences to bear on whatever solutions they are providing. You've seen it, you are there, tell us what to do. Tell these people how to go about it. What do we need to do? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What do we need to correct? So these are some of the things we do.
While the enabling law and policy for the establishment of an armed forces reserve are still being expected, government at all levels is encouraged to engage ex-service personnel, particularly in community policing efforts, as well as to fill gaps in counter-terrorism and internal security operations. Indeed, the enabling law and policies are needed to adequately harness the experiences of veterans. Ekene Ndulue, in our next report, takes a look at life after active service for veterans.
It is a career marked with patriotism, sacrifices and dedication to maintaining peace and unity in the country. Their active years are sacrificed in selfless service to the nation, while a number of them actually pay the ultimate sacrifice. That is the story of the men in uniform.
Ideal character is that of hard work, integrity, patriotism, and professionalism. You find someone that is selfless, because the military, by its nature, is about service. It's not about what you make out of it, but it's a determination to give to your country everything that you have, your time, your energy, your mind, your everything, including the ultimate thing, or the most prized possession that we have, which is our lives. So whenever you set your foot into being, or accept that you're going to be in the military, in a way you are committing to giving your 100%. If there's anything like more than 100% of your all to the service of your nation first, and to a large extent to humanity, because you could be called upon to serve your country in another nation under the auspices of the United Nations, the African Union, or the Economic Community of West African States, or indeed any agreement that is entered into by your state, or that's by your country. So you are a tool of service by your country, for humanity and for the country itself.
Like every other thing in life that has a beginning, a career in the military also has an end. This is usually the time when reality of life hits most of the ex-servicemen. Issues of delay in receiving severance pay, health policies and housing problems are most of the complaints recorded from veterans in recent past.
If you go by the Nigerian Constitution, there are appropriately laid out conditions after service, and there are approvals, policy approvals for a level of comfort. But the challenge is that immediately you leave, to get your severance pay, it's already a challenge. And if you lost your life, for your family, your wife and the kids to get your pay, it's also a challenge because of the bureaucracy on the desk of the responsible officers to be able to quickly close the necessary documentation and you get alert. So this gives a lot of challenge to the veterans, families, and the veterans, And your health, You know, you have faced a lot of medical challenges, and the defense health that we currently have, its policy does not cover certain ailments like arthritis, you know, kidney issues. Those are things that someone living in combat zone, front line, is supposed to be experiencing. Your medical, like your eyes, you know, there are eye drops that I buy. There are those that they can give you. You know, so those are the medical challenges. Then housing. The army has a post-housing scheme, okay, the military. But I'm afraid that it's not beneficial to the majority. Let me use that word. You know, and so many military personnel, they find themselves looking for accommodation within the civilian enclave. And, you know, it's a very big security risk, especially during this kidnapping. They profile people and say it's a military person, is the one giving information. You know, they profile your children.
Recently, the president attended to the complaints from Nigerian veterans and has approved the sum of 146 billion naira for payment of security debarment allowance to retired military officers and personnel. Morenike Henry is the Director Corporate Affairs, Nigerian Legion, and she believes better days are ahead for the veterans.
This government has been a wonderful government. Thanks to the president of the country. He has done well. For now, no veteran is being owed any pension. Apart from the SDA that is a problem all over the places, which he has approved the money. And the PAMSEC of the Ministry of Defense working on it with the Minister and the Ministry of Finance. I believe that anytime from now, the money will be paid to the veterans.
Yeas in the military have prepared these veterans for defense, security intelligence, and physical alertness. But how prepared are they for life after service?
What we fail to do, however, is a lot of time to accustom or to train the individual for life after service. We have to accept the fact that military officers and men and women retire. And they retire at a relatively young age, if I put it that way, at between 55 and 60. And therefore, we must equip them with skills that, or we must turn that skills that they have in the military so that they can be easily applicable in the civilian life. If we are able to do that role reversal, then they can easily fit in.
They have seen it all, traveled across regions, and interacted with people from different ethnicities. Experts believe engaging them will go a long way in handling some of the security threats in the communities, as apparently their trainings have placed them in a better position to penetrate and generate security intelligence.
If I'm a fisherman, I left the military, I go back to my fishing in my community. They know me as a fisherman in my community. But then, if I'm engaged to generate intelligence from those parameters, I know what to look out for that than a raw civilian will not look out for. You know, so if I'm working as a Okada rider, a taxi driver, transportation generally, on the road, I know what to look out from the bad spots, kidnappers. I know the kind of information to transfer to the police to say, hey, these areas that are black spots, these are the times that are hot. You know, so if they try to engage the veterans, they must make sure they cascade it from national, state to local government council areas. Every office supposed to have a veteran desk. Not this legion that we have right now. It's not going to be able to achieve it. You know, so if we can do that, then we'll be able to communicate information to the agencies responsible. You know, and if the agencies are coming to a town, if we have crisis in XYZ village and the military is coming to the village, do you know that if there are retired military personnel in that village and they meet with the military first, the exercise will be very simple, you know, because what you can deduce from your colleagues, your former colleagues, who may be your guys, say, sir, what can we do here? This is what you will do. This is what you will do. Then, if you look at relationship, some communities have crisis with the police. They have crisis with the military. Because when they come to intervene, there's this discord. If you have veterans living there, don't you think they should be on a committee to first welcome whoever? If a new DPO or a radar commander, the veterans in that community welcomes him. Oga, I know you. You were my superior in so and so command. Yeah, I live here, and this is my community. These are the things that I think you can do to curb what is going on right now.
Security situations in the country has continually demanded expert solutions, with Boko Haram and ISWAP insurgents ravaging the northern parts of the country, and agitations, banditry and kidnapping wreaking havoc in the southern parts. The ranks of the military forces is said to be far stretched. Security experts believe activating the reserve policy of the Nigerian military is needed now more than ever before.
On retirement, a military personnel retires to the reserve. The reserve means that you can be mobilized at short notice and get them back if need be to join in a kind of emergency or situation that we have. Now, the problem here in Nigeria is that people retire and we don't have an active reserve. Once someone retires, the person is just on his own. The government does not take heed. It's provided for in the books and regulations and so on, but it has not been activated. You can imagine if we activate that, we will have nothing less than 100 to 200,000 people that are available to be deployed at short notice. But we have not been using that. We have not been tapping into that large pool of experienced manpower that can easily be deployed or be used. So I will implore that the government looks at the possibility of activating the reserve, and immediately the reserve, even if they are not deployed, they could be used to train newly. So we have to increase the number of recruitment. We have the young population that is there, and we need the numbers, because going by our population, going by the size of our country, going by the GDP and our economic strength and the challenges that we have, we need nothing short than 1 million men and women under arms.
Getting involved in community service is what experts are advocating for the veterans.
What I'll call on the military personnel is that this is your community, this is your country, this is that same country that you've served for 30, 35 years and so on. And what it's saying is that you're back to that community. Get involved. Get involved in terms of local administration. Get involved in terms of politics, local politics. Get involved in terms of community mobilizing, and get involved in terms of community service. It is that community, is from the community that you came in, you're back to this community, and there is nowhere best you could serve that country that you have so much patriotism or you have so much love for, that you have decided or that you have sacrificed your life at some point than serving from that community.
Like the saying goes, security is everyone's business. Though the veterans are retired, apparently their services are still vital to the society.
Quite true, Ekene, and it remains to be seen how the nation's veterans can be factored into the security architecture rather than left to idle away. That's where we leave it on the program today. We look forward to bringing you another engaging topic on 30 Minutes next week. I am Mitaire Ikpen. Bye for now.